Danette, lovely to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Kia ora, thank you. Lovely to be here.
Where are you based?
I'm actually in Christchurch, but we have two committees, a policy committee and an executive committee, and we're spread nationwide. So
you're a registered political party, aren't you, from memory?
That's correct, yes, we are.
And you mostly, your background, you'd mostly be vegans, wouldn't you, actually?
That's correct, yes.
And so did the Animal Justice Party come out of the vegan movement, or is it just sort of, well, you would be in the Animal Justice Department if you were vegan? Did one
Well,
lead
I
to
think
the
there's, don't quote me on this, but I think there's around 22 parties globally in the space for animals. The Animal Justice Party is also in Australia. They have MPs in Victoria, New South Wales, and WA. And we stood up just before, the last elections. We'll be running again in these elections. So, it's. I think you'll find it's not just narrowed as well to vegans. I think there's many people all over the world that care about animals and can see the importance of having that voice in Parliament, because obviously there's a lot of people on the front line that do a lot of rescue work and shelters and people helping animals day to day. But in order to get upstream, we need to look at policy and understand what's happening in that policy space and make the changes so that there's not the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff constantly for animals.
Okay, but the problem, all right, duck shooting has been part of the New Zealand I guess lifestyle, if you like. We've been a hunt and shoot and fishing type of lifestyle in this country as well. Do you really anticipate for yourself too much success in your campaign to ban duck shooting in this country?
Yeah, absolutely. It's 2026 and we can do a whole lot better. Shooting animals for fun or for sport or, dressing it up as conservation or population management isn't really the answer. It doesn't appear to be working, and we need to get a lot smarter, and we need to look at what are all of the different levers. So what is the problem we're trying to solve, and what are the different ways that we need to do it? And
But is there a problem? I guess that's the issue, Danette. I mean, I don't think New Zealand perceives there's a problem in shooting ducks, do they, as a general rule?
Well, I think there is a massive problem with shooting ducks because it's shooting an animal that is a sentient being for fun. And that says a lot about us as a society. And I think that we should question that. I think there's a lot of things that we didn't used to do, like wearing a seatbelt, and we know better. So we should absolutely be thinking about not killing animals and thinking about what is the problem that we're trying to solve, if there is a problem.
There isn't a problem. It's just that we like shooting them, and B, we like eating them. I mean, is this one of those sort of, I guess, there's no way in the world that if you're a vegan, you can accept anything from, farming to the use of animal products, for example. Is there any dialogue even possible, given the strict ideological view that the vegan movement has?
Well, I think I was reading in the UK what they're trying to do is say, actually, you should try non-lethal ways of management for ducks. And so you should be proving that you are attempting to have non-lethal ways to manage ducks in their population. So, why are we as a country resorting to killing as the only lever that we want to pull? One, is not sustainable. Two, it doesn't appear to be effective. And three, we're hurting animals. It's cruel and unnecessary. So, it's quite interesting as well, because when I, personally come out and say, I don't think it's okay to shoot a duck, those in the hunting community come out very aggressively, very violent in their responses, very aggressive. They take a lot of offence to it, which is really case in point. They're proving, and you can see this, you can see that they're proving the kind of society that we're making with their response.
And, do you think that, can I ask the obvious question, Danette, do you think that hunters have a psychological problem, shooters?
I think that the response when I say shooting animals is not okay, for the majority of the response seems to be very aggressive, and I think that that's an issue.
Yeah, so there's something wrong with them.
I'm not saying there's something wrong with them. I think when you hold a mirror up and say, hey, I don't think this is okay, I think it can make people be really defensive. So if I said, let's replace ducks with companion animals. So if I said, let's shoot your dog for fun, people would be quite horrified by that. So what is the difference between a dog and a duck?
Oh, I could answer that question at length, but I don't want to. What you think a companion animal that's been socialised by humanity for the last 10,000 years can be compared to a duck in terms of what?
Oh, absolutely. I do a lot of duck rescue, and they are incredible animals. They are absolutely beautiful. And one of the things that makes me incredibly sad is seeing the paradise ducks shot. I seen on the weekend a female paradise duck. Her partner had been shot. She was flying across the wetlands. She was crying out. She was very confused and disorientated. And it's absolutely heartbreaking. Here is a bird that mates for life, has a bond and a connection. It's so beautiful seeing those paradise ducks together. You always see the little white head and the green head. Everybody recognizes them, always together, looking out for each other. They, just absolutely incredible. I've seen people have ducks as pets, and they come and sit on your knee, and super friendly. I have looked after ducks that have been dumped at the river, domestic ducks, and they recognize my car. They recognize me when I pull up. They can hear my car and recognize it like a dog does, and they come running down the riverbank for me to feed them. Absolutely beautiful. I think there's heaps of comparison, and really, really beautiful, amazing animals.
Now, having said that, we've got so many ducks in New Zealand at the moment that they have become almost a pest species in large trenches, certainly in my neck of the woods, which isn't very far from yours. They do an awful lot of damage to crops and also to the ecology of lakes and rivers as well. Do you accept that we have too many of them in New Zealand at the moment?
I don't know where you get those numbers from, so I guess I'd love to see that data and that evidence. I think
you could go to a regional council in Canterbury or Otago, and they would provide that with you pretty quickly. I mean, it's well known.
Unfortunately, they don't. Actually, I went to Environment Canterbury and the Christchurch City Council in regards to their geese management, and they don't have the numbers, nor do they have a geese management strategy. It's something that I went and spoke to the councillors and requested, because first of all, we should be identifying what are the numbers, what is the problems that we're facing, and then what are those solutions. And with those solutions, we should have multiple levers. It shouldn't just be
all right. No, fair enough. Listen, I can't speak for the Canterbury Regional Council. I know they've identified it anecdotally. You're absolutely right. I don't know if they gather statistics on it because, after all, they're a regional council. But can I just ask, there are numerous pest species in this country, from mustelids through to rabbits, feral goats. Do you think, does the vegan philosophy mean that you can't shoot those either?
At the Animal Justice Party, what we'd like to see is a multi-layered approach, and we'd like to see different levers being pulled, and we'd like them to be humane. So,
can I just ask the question again? Look, Danette, listen, I'm not trying to be difficult here, Danette, but I'm just trying to get a definitive answer. You talk about multi-layered, but the reality is pests in New Zealand, and I've just given you 3 good species there. Do you actually concede that they need to be killed?
I don't believe that they need to be killed. I think there are other alternatives that we need to be looking at. We need to be investing all of our research and into looking at what are those different methods.
Yeah, we don't have those answers yet. So, I mean, possums would be another good example.
But there are answers overseas, right? So
no,
we're using lasers.
No, that there are not answers. There are no answers overseas in terms of rabbits, for example, that don't include killing them.
I've read lots of really great research showing that they have been looking at different techniques to look at animals deemed as pests and how they manage them. And I think that this is part of the issue, right? So if you have this mindset of you saying, no, it's not possible, only killing, then we'll continue in that cycle. So what we're actually requesting is what you're doing right now, is how do you take an approach where you step back and say, what are the different levers that we can pull instead of this repeating this killing cycle? So
Okay,
how do you
listen, unfortunately,
take
I know
serious
something. Yeah, but unfortunately, I know something about rabbits living in rabbit country. But it's just illustrative. I mean, we've also got a duck problem here as well, particularly around our lakes in particular, and the infestations that can create. They're almost a pest species here as
We
well.
have a
They've got
dairy
to those
problem
sorts
as
of
well.
numbers.
What should we be doing about that?
Oh no, but well, we don't have a dairy problem. I don't understand that response. Can you explain what our dairy problem is?
Yes, and the impact that it has on the environment.
So you'd stop all dairy farming too, would you?
What we need to do, and the reason why I bring that up is we need to be looking at what are the primary drivers of our biodiversity crisis in New Zealand, and how do we look at biodiversity? What are our main challenges, and then how do we address that? And once we start to take a step back and ask those wider questions, we'll stop looking at this kill model where we're just killing animals that are deemed as pests.
Sorry, listen, just on this, am I right in surmising that we started on duck shooting, but because I was interested in what the rationale was, but this has sort of morphed into a wider conversation about how you deal with pest species in general, of which I would regard ducks down here as one of those. But this is also, I didn't realise, so you would make sure that, all farming ceased in this country too, if the Animal Justice Party was in operation?
What we would like to see and support is a plant-based economy, and we'd like to see just transitions for that, yes.
Okay. Listen, for those of us who aren't vegan and who regard meat as part of our diet and quite like a roast duck, for example, which is, I would surmise, probably most of New Zealand, do you find, I mean, the idea that people can come in and say you're allowed to eat that, you're not, do you understand you might get some sort of resistance to that concept that you're floating at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you definitely don't want to be doing is telling people what to do and what to eat. However, there is a victim in this situation, which makes this slightly different. And that victim is the animal.
Right. So the fact that we as a human species have evolved to eat protein through meat as part of our diet, and that's what our ancestors did and our ancestors before then. We're going to change all that now, and we are now going to move on to a plant-based economy, and I guess that's what all we're going to eat from the future. We're going to forget about the evolution of humankind and its omnivorous tendencies.
I think, we could talk about this all day, but I would disagree with some of those statements. I think they're assumptions and potentially things, that you're saying. I think there's lots of Indigenous cultures I was reading the other day that have an incredible, really appreciated that plant-based diet. So, I think, our grandparents used to smoke as well. Hardly anybody smokes these days. So we used to do lots of things in the past that we don't necessarily have to do today. And, people are going to completely disagree with me and think that you should be allowed to shoot ducks for sport, for conservation. I don't think it is necessary. I don't think it is sustainable. I think we need to be a lot smarter. I think we need to be looking at different solutions if we need to manage the duck population. I think ducks are wonderful, amazing animals, and we definitely shouldn't be shooting them out of the sky. It just seems such an awful thing to be doing. And we like to talk in New Zealand that, that we love our animals. And I would love us to really show that by not shooting ducks.
Okay. At the last election, I think throughout the country, you got just over 5,000 votes throughout New Zealand. About 0.1%, 0.17% of 1% of the votes. It would suggest to you that New Zealanders, of the 2.8 million people that voted, don't agree with the Animal Justice Party or its philosophy. Does that dishearten you in any way?
Absolutely not. We stood up 10 weeks before the elections, so that was pretty incredible to get the following that we did in that really short amount of time. And in the last few years, we've built a really large following and addressed some really big issues that touch at the heart of New Zealanders. So we have an incredible team, and we're really proud of the work that we're doing, and we'll continue to do that. And sometimes, in history, think about these movements and people that have started as a small movement and have come out and said, actually, it's not okay for us to behave that way anymore. And look at how the world has changed because of those people and their clear, amazing message. So I feel really proud to be part of the Animal Justice Party, and I think we'll continue to grow and do really good things for animals.
Last year, I think the Animal Justice Party, or at least activists within it, flew drones to try and disrupt duck shooting. I think one of them got shot down, might have been a couple got shot down actually, by duck shooters themselves. Have you engaged in similar tactics or activities this year?
The Animal Justice Party wasn't involved in flying the drones, but a drone was shot down, and the condone that illegal activity.
What, the shooting down of the drone?
Yes.
But you don't have a problem with the drone seeking to disrupt shooters from shooting?
I think that anyone who's flying a drone needs to make sure that it's safe and legal.
Okay, but if it's annoying and irritating and it's getting in the way of me doing my legal activity, isn't that provocative?
Well, isn't duck shooting annoying and getting in the way of people who don't want ducks to be shot?
No, it's a legal activity in this country and part of New Zealand's, as you know, heritage and history.
But drone flying is legal as well, so if two people are doing two legal things and they annoy each other, then it depends what side of the fence you're standing on.
I think, yeah, so, okay. All right, listen, there's no talking to you, though, is there, in terms of, and I don't mean we're talking now, but I mean in terms of trying to convince you that New Zealanders will have a different view, the mass majority of New Zealanders, on everything from the eating of meat and the consuming of dairy products to duck shooting. Do you ever
disagree.
I
think that's a big statement. I think that's a big statement to say all of New Zealanders. And at the
I
Animal
said
Justice
most
Party,
New Zealanders.
I think hunting, shooting ducks for fun is a minority. It's a small minority. It's kind of like the social license for it, like greyhound racing. It's coming to an end. And like the rodeo, like duck shooting, all of those things. In 2026, we know better. So, no, it's not depressing at all. I think, we need to be having a compassionate society, not one that condones violence for fun.
Have you ever thought, just quietly, that you'd like to put your own energy into saving ordinary humans? I was just thinking the number of humans that get abused in this country for which there is no compassion, appalling child abuse statistics in this country, child murder and manslaughter statistics in this country. Have you ever thought of putting your energy into saving your own species first?
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you brought that up. And I think this year you'll see us come out at the elections and really talk about people, planet, and animals. Because when you're looking after people and looking after the environment and looking after the animals, they're quite intimately connected. And when you look after one, you look after the other. And we should absolutely
So you're saying if we stop duck shooting, we might stop child abuse in this country?
Well, I'd hope that we'd have a kinder society and wouldn't normalise violence.
Right, but I'm just saying that if you were kinder to animals, what you're suggesting is that this would have a correlative impact, indeed even a causative impact, upon reducing the bestiality of humans towards humans.
I would absolutely hope so. All we can do is keep hoping for a much kinder and compassionate society, and we would like a compassionate future. Absolutely.
Right.
As I said to you, the response that I get from saying, hey, don't shoot animals for fun, the violence from some of the duck shooters and their aggression really just shows that character. And so imagine if we weren't engaging in this.
Would you think there's a correlation between duck shooting and child abuse, do you think? As a consequence of that?
I don't know that. I haven't read any research around that. Have you?
No, definitely not. No. In fact, I would suggest that most people who abuse children don't duck shoot, but it's just me. All right, Danette, thank you very much for this. That is Danette Wetera, the Animal Justice Party Secretary, on their aim and intent, which is to call for duck hunting to be banned for the reasons that Danette has outlined.